Has the BMA caved into government pressure over the extended hours issue?
No, we haven't changed our position one iota. We don't like the so-called offer or the so-called imposition. Both of them are unacceptable to GPs and certainly unacceptable to GPC. We were asked repeatedly, could we give a steer, could we give an idea which of these two was better than the other or less bad than the other? And after a very long discussion and a lot of analysis, we've come to the conclusion that option A, the offer, is not as awful as option B, the imposition. It's really a question of do you want one bullet or two? Neither are any good, but if you have to ask me, A is marginally less awful than B.
Can you explain the difference between option A and option B?
Option A gives you the opportunity to lose £6,000, that's a terrific opportunity, and then you can earn it back if you wish to do extended hours. There are various other bits of the deal, but they're not quite so crucial, and they are explained in our letters to the profession. Option B involves losing 135 QOF points, and that, plus the other losses, means around £12,000 per GP. And you can earn back some of that if your PCT chooses to commission extended hours from you. There will still be an extended hours service, but it might not be that you and your practice are encouraged or allowed to do it. The difference, therefore, is between being forced to do extended hours in order not to have serious financial embarrassment versus having an opportunity to choose not to do extended hours or face financial embarrassment nevertheless. There are other differences between the offers. One is compulsory and one at least gives an opportunity of choice. Losing 135 QOF points in B would mean that that money was permanently removed from GP pay, something I think that one should give great consideration to before deciding to vote for B. Equally, voting for A doesn't mean that you are either supporting or not supporting the GPC in its campaign with government about the way the health service is going.
Will I be able to vote no to both options?
I imagine that almost every GP would want to vote no to both options if that was a choice. But that's not a choice. The government have put us in an absolutely impossible position. You have to choose A or B, the so-called offer or the imposition. There isn't any other choice. Different countries have different choices between A and B, but there is no other alternative. Spoiling your paper is a terrible mistake. Abstaining is a mistake. You have to choose one or the other, but the way the question is worded will enable you to express your views. You will be able to say that you don't like it, and you will be able to merely choose between two completely unacceptable alternatives. If there were a third way, of course, we would have offered that to GPs.
Are there any sections in the poll that are specific to England, Scotland, Northern Ireland or Wales?
The act of voting A or B clearly identifies you as accepting the offer in your country. You will be asked a question which country you practice in, because of course it's quite important to decide whether you choose A or B will be dependent on which country you view the situation from. But there are no specific country-related questions other than that.
Why is it important to take part in this poll?
This is the beginning of a long-running campaign to persuade government that privatising the health service is a mistake. They are introducing polyclinic services which we believe will not improve healthcare for patients, and they are committed to offering practices as they become vacant, as well as the polyclinics, to the private sector. Now, if that had been part of a government manifesto, and if the people of Britain had voted for a privatised health service, or one that was moving towards privatisation, that would be something that we would accept as part of the political process. That hasn't happened. There are many people in all three political parties and elsewhere who don't feel that the direction is appropriate, and many of our patients are concerned that the modern general practice that we're now seeing and are used to is going to disappear and be taken over by large corporations, many of them run by shareholders from abroad, and that they will change the nature of the primary care that we offer. The personal continuity of care and record that we've striven so hard to deliver. We've delivered a quality agenda. We've offered so much more to patients, and GPs remain, by a small majority, quite willing to offer extended hours. Yet we've been painted as the villains of the piece. We have to persuade our patients and the wider public and members of Parliament that the direction the government are moving in is not going to improve patient care.
What is the BMA doing specifically to get its message across to the public, the media and Parliament?
We are devoting an enormous amount of energy to communications, and those communications are with patients primarily, with MPs and with the wider public. I know there are many GPs who believe we should be having a vigorous press campaign with adverts, and whilst I understand where that comes from, because I don't blame them, actually that won't yield anywhere near as much result as using the doctor-patient relationship and offering the quality of care that you offer now to patients and explain why that quality is under threat. I believe that patients understand our message. I think that many of them are quite willing to take part in our campaign because they don't want the practices to change. They don't want a privatised health service. They don't want one that's run for the benefit of corporations and shareholders. And so recruiting patients, which takes an awful lot longer than sticking an advert in a newspaper, actually, I believe, is a way that we can engage over a long term. I know there are some GPs who are terribly disappointed and feel that we should be doing something more active. And what's the point of putting up a poster in your surgery and giving letters to your patients? I'll tell you what the point is. That way, you can explain to your patients why what they are trying to do to you, not to somebody else, not to some bunch of GPs, to you and your practice is so harmful. And that's the message we have to get out there. That message is best transmitted on a one-to-one or over a small group through your own patients and your own practices. Put the leaflets up, put the posters up, make sure your patients are engaged with the story. This story isn't running until the 1st of April and then it all goes quiet. It all goes noisy from the 1st of April. And we must make sure that we've engaged with patients in that quest to make the health service modernise the right way for everyone's benefit, and in particular, so we offer better care to patients. If you have any questions about the poll, or about our campaign, or you want to tell us things that you think we need to hear, speak to your local GPC rep, who you can reach through your LMC office, or speak to your LMC directly. They'll tell you anything you want to know. Thank you for listening.